Didn't tell them at the office what was happening, didn't tell my customer. I landed in Port Harcourt, drove an hour to meet the customer, and I got there at 9. Sat with him, gave him all the various options I had before we went into the big meeting. Usually it drags on, you go to lunch. Corporate finance, you massage the ego of the customer, you do all kinds of things. Long story short, no breakfast. Remember, I left at 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock, they said, okay, let's all go to lunch. I said, okay, we had agreed the terms. I have to go back to Lagos. I didn't get on the plane until 5. By the time I wrote all the memos, but because of the way I handled that customer, he thought I was super efficient. This woman is committed. She came at 9. She talked to me about the transaction, but I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. My daughter was not going to suffer. And I was not going to be in a position that it's only the nanny that is looking. I arrived home that night at 8 o'clock, and my daughter said, I haven't done my homework, mommy. What would you do? So it is real. When the men say you do not have the time, you are going to take time off. The office didn't know. My daughter wasn't the wiser. She's 30-something now, and she said to me, I never knew you, I gave you all that kind of hard time. But it's real. So you must accept that once you're not deterred by these prejudices, you have to make that sacrifice. The men don't want to know. They do not want to know that your daughter, they don't want to hear any stories because they have their own children too. If you want to look after your child, go into treasury where you're using your sexuality to attract more deposits, or you are going like this. They don't want to know. So it is something you need to understand as a woman, that those prejudices are based on reality. The other thing that I would say is that the new woman understands commitment. So if you have a family, you cannot give up your family for your job. You have to understand that your family is much more important than that career. Once you understand self-actualization and the fact that you want to be a human being, it is very important. Nothing is more important than a family. And as a matter of fact, there's a study done by McKinsey in 2007 that says that even in Europe, women do twice as much of the domestic work as men do there. Imagine how much work the average woman does in Nigeria, in Africa. Some of the men I know, only men like my brother, His Excellency, understand. That is why you can be the maiden, you can have the maiden of this program here. Most of the men don't even know how to make a cup of tea or boil egg. And if you are the wife or the mother in such a home, something is going to give, and you cannot neglect them. You cannot ignore them. You have to be as committed in your home as you are committed on your job. Today, the new woman has better access to networking and mentors. Traditionally, women did not network. You come to a forum like this, I'll tell you why again. You will not find an older woman wanting to mentor a younger woman. She won't do it. And with course, it is real, it's reality. Naomi Campbell, I think most people know who Naomi Campbell is. She's over 40 now. She was mentoring a younger woman, and she had a liaison, a husband who is a Russian billionaire. She lost the man to her mentee. Yeah, he took her because she's now a better version of her. Mia Farrow, I give you this example so that you know that it is not only Nigerian men that are weak, that it is not only Nigerian men that see a young, beautiful woman coming and they go, oh, it is a male thing. And women traditionally have tried to protect themselves from this kind of onslaught. Why? Because we live vicariously through the men. What we wear, what we are, what we could be, everything that we are is dependent on that man. If I don't have an identity and somebody is coming and I think it's likely to threaten who I am, my raison d'etre, I will make sure, I will take the steps to ensure that person cannot. So, at the time my husband looked at a young girl, all I did was look at him. You're lost. In the first place, I may be older, but I'm better at all costs than this one. So you can walk. You can walk if you have what it takes. And so I say to you, you have to understand that you have to have mentors, you have to have mentees. And when you're choosing your mentor or when you are choosing your mentee, first for a mentor, you choose a woman who truly cares about you. Don't choose me because I may be frightening to you the way I talk. Don't choose somebody who does not even have a connection to you. Choose somebody who cares about you, who would listen to you, someone who does not want you to be her, someone who wants you to be a better you. So in choosing a mentor or a mentee, look, it has to be a relationship that will develop. So we need to understand first what the problem really is, what the issues are before we make a decision. Do not say because the men say that women don't work together, I'm going to embrace a woman who is likely to be a potential threat to me. No. So you be careful. What I'm saying is that we think. In the many years of my career and in the career of many of the women that I know, we went through all of these things. We have to find faith in ourselves. We have to find the commitment to stay with our goal, to gamble on ourselves. So the women, the young women here must believe in their world. You must take a goal and say, I believe in myself. I believe in this thing that I want to do, and stay with it. For me, I will give you a few things in winning in a man's world because there are many young women and men here. But the women, listen and listen carefully. If you don't believe that the future belongs to you, why would you stay when the going gets rough? You have to believe, because most people, the average human being who's sitting there does not believe, does not like a successful woman. The average man, and why? It is just a reality. Most people expect me as I come, especially as I was something like 50 kilos at the time. They expect me to be a nice, quiet, submissive woman who would do as she's told. But when they find a woman who is fierce, decisive, is logical, is rational, and when you bring me, drag me out and put me in the forum and you want to argue in an illogical way, I say, let's go back to the main issue. They don't like such people because I don't meet the stereotype. I'm not what a woman should be. This is not what we understand, because when they're thinking of Cinderella, the fairy tale, they're thinking about a soft, sweet, cuddly woman. A woman who, yeah, what do they call them? Token, standing by you, adds nothing. There's a word, I'll remember the word. So you have, and every human being wants to be loved, wants to be liked. You're going to be lonely as you go along. You're doing well. You think you're climbing. Somebody says to you, so and so that you respect, says you're scaling the mountain. Ambition on a woman doesn't look so good. You duck down. Your girlfriends suddenly don't want to talk to you because they think you're kind of cute, right? You're going to fall down to the ground. There will be a time where they'll knock you down. When you get down, what I say, stay down, hold yourself. Don't talk to anybody. Don't even talk to your pastor. Talk to no one. Don't run back to Papa. Stay down. Cry. Be angry if you've been betrayed. Do what you need to do. But what I'm asking you to do, experience it yourself and come out of it yourself. Know that there's a certain beauty from being a woman who has experienced all these things, but like a phoenix, you rise up from your ashes. You will know that when you are knocked down, you come up again all the time. There's nothing that is as beautiful as a woman who's been knocked down and she can rise up all the time. You can only do that. You can only experience this. You can only grow yourself if you go through it. If you get a godfather, if you get somebody else to hold you, let him talk to you, let him advise you. That's all he can do. But in terms of yourself, you must experience it. You must gain that experience. You must be the woman who has fallen down. If you haven't done that, you can't mentor anyone. You cannot, because you have nothing else to give. And another thing I say is that you must remember that success is not about knowledge, it's not about hard work, it's not about a lot of things. Those who fail, it's not because they were not brilliant, it's not because they were not even they didn't have strength of character, is because they lack the will to succeed. And therefore, that will, you must have it. So failure and success